Keys to the Commonwealth, a podcast where we share the real stories of local community members who are using real estate to build personal wealth, along with tips and tricks from professionals across the industry. And now, your host, Landry Fields.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. In my job as an insurance advisor, I love that I get to meet and work with amazing people here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky each and every day. And today's guest is a self-made entrepreneur, of which she is the proud owner of 3 separate businesses. She has 9 years of contracting experience, working with contractors and updating homes and so forth in the area. 2 years of working on rental property as far as flipping goes, but in less than a year of actually owning rental property. Super excited to talk about all of her experiences and knowledge that she has. She was born and raised right in Louisville in Kentucky, just down the road, and now resides here in Lexington after receiving her degree from the University of Kentucky. She has 2 dogs named Zoey and Bella, and it is my honor to welcome Laura Geiger today to the studio. Lauren, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. I know I've seen you around some of the Facebook groups and so forth for quite a while, and you're very active on there, which is great, which is a great resource if you're not already in the, what's the exact title of that, the Bluegrass?
BR.
Yeah. I forget.
Oh my gosh, BREIG. Bluegrass Real Estate Investors
There we
Group.
go. Bluegrass Real Estate Investors Group. Thank you. I had a brain right there too. We like to start every episode out with kind of hopping back in the DeLorean and kind of tell us, a little bit about yourself, how you got into, contracting to begin with, and then other aspects of real estate investing.
Yeah, so I moved to Lexington in 2010. That's where I started at UK. When I started, I wanted to be an attorney, and that lasted all of a semester and changed my mind. And
I think we all have that. We switched after one semester type of thing.
Yeah. So after that, I kind of I went into marketing for a few years and then decided that I hated that too, and at that point, I decided to join the architectural program over at BCTC, and I fell in love with it.
Nice.
From there, I got an internship with a local builder, and I was hired on 6 months later and went to work for him for the next 5 years. And
okay. So cut your teeth for 5 years on the architecture world. So how'd you transfer from that world into doing contracting and stuff?
Yeah, so when I was there, I actually hated drawing plans. I wanted to do something else, and I found myself in a position where I was doing more project management, estimating, that side of things, and I loved it. And so when I was hired for that, I kind of just, the architectural part kind of went away, know, and I just started doing that. From there, I was hired by another builder once I left that there, and my job was strictly project management, and I loved it. And from there on, I decided to go out on my own.
Really?
So
that's always a scary day to kind of jump on your own, right? I remember when I did it with my own insurance agency, and was like, what in the world did I just do?
Yeah, there was definitely some weird sidewalk paths of getting there.
Okay, yeah.
but we arrived at,
That's part of being an entrepreneur, right? Like, it's not pretty. Like, it takes a lot of effort and work, and it is not for the faint of heart in some respects.
Right. That's very true.
What was it like kind of building a business, though, as far as that goes? I guess you probably already had a lot of contacts just from the previous experiences and so forth like that.
Yeah. So I had a bunch of contacts in the area, especially with subcontractors, HVAC, plumbers, electricians, all that.
Yeah.
My clientele kind of started a little bit more from scratch. The builders I was working, they were strictly new construction, and a lot of people don't need a remodel after building a brand new house. So a lot of mine was really new. Really new clients, referrals from friends, and Facebook posts, and really just kind of building it from the ground up, so to speak. I have all the workers in place. I just needed the people. So.
Well, yeah. And so now, fast forward to today, you have 3 separate businesses. What are those businesses again? Kind of talk me through those.
Yeah. So the first one that I own solely is Bluegrass Builders and Remodel. We do the residential, new construction, home additions, and remodeling.
Okay.
My other one is Ratliff and Geiger. I'm partners with Laura Ratliff, and we do some flips together.
Okay.
We also individually own things by ourselves.
Perfect.
And then Lauren's Properties is a new one that I just purchased my first rental under about, it's probably been maybe 4 or 5 weeks now.
Yep. I think I'm like a week ahead of you, and I haven't told the full story on the podcast yet, but me and you are both, I don't know what the babies when it comes, I guess, to, or virgins, so to speak, as far as this goes, when it comes to real estate investing. And so how's it been so far? I mean, do you have tenants already in it? Is it a single family home?
So it's a townhouse.
Okay.
And it's a total piece of crap. So
Okay.
it's not ready yet.
Gotcha. So you're going in with your already existing experience, updating stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I've got my Pinterest board ready to, to fix it up. But we've started the work. We're at drywall right now. I mean, it was basically completely empty, complete shell when I bought it. So, but it's getting there. We put the new windows in, and it'll be great. It's going to be a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So.
Okay. 4-bedroom with that'll be nice.
Yeah.
We like I said, ours are duplexes, and so we are in the process of updating one building, aka 2 units right now, while the other ones are already rented out. And so it's been an experience for sure.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have lots of tales one day with renters and so forth, but so far it's been okay.
Yeah, I'm just ready for the money to come in, not go out.
yeah.
So
that'll be nice, right? Can't expect,
right.
But
yeah.
And then you also have roofing to an extent as well.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. So we are partners. I do not own that one solely.
Okay.
I've got 3 other partners. I'm sorry. There's 4 of us. Laura Ratliff, and then her husband Chris, and then myself, and then Drew Rogers, he's my boyfriend.
Okay.
We're not married or anything.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we own all around roofing, and we do siding, roofs, gutters, windows, chimney caps, kind of the whole exterior.
Very good. So, what was kind of that? How'd you get into that, or was the reason or avenue to think I'm going to also get into roofing? See, because is that recent, the roofing thing as well?
Yeah. So I had done roofing sales for a few years before starting out on my own, and I guess it's just one of those things when you start several businesses, it just becomes addicting to just do everything yourself. Yeah. You just love punishing yourself day in and day out.
You said all you made in the sense that, like, I'm like one of those guys, or one of those people that, like, I just tend to, like, once I've set my mind to something, I just jump into it with 2 feet. Like, kind of like kamikaze, just going all in. It sounds similar in some respects. And you're like, I don't have any regrets so far. I haven't jumped in too far into something like that. But.
No, I definitely don't have any regrets. I mean, it's definitely not it's not a 9 to 5, but it's worth it at the end of the day for sure.
What are some of the early things that you've learned about real estate as far as using it to build wealth and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, just buy it. I mean, it's the best retirement plan. I mean, we're all independently, working for ourselves. No one's paying our retirement for us. So, for me, it's a great plan for retirement. That's kind of what my rentals have always been in my mind to set up for is, that long-term plan, 10, 15 years down the road, which I don't think I'll retire in 15 years down the road. But anyways, at least have something kind of build up that's going to gain you interest over time.
Yeah, I think especially, I'm in my 30s. I assume you're somewhere close to that. But I'm more or less like that too. I'm like, I can't count on the government, or who knows what happens down the road, or there's inflation. I'm like, I'm going to hedge my bets and do what I can to make sure that I don't have to worry about that down the road and so forth. So, kind of back over to, owning real estate as far as flipping versus hold. Talk to Lee a little bit about the analyzing flip properties, or kind of maybe some of those differences in that respect as far as that goes.
Yeah. So definitely the flip properties are, for me, I always look for a certain number. So when I go and look at a property, I want to know that here's my budget that I've written down of what I can, what I'm going to spend. Okay. Add 10% to it. If my comps don't work to where I would at least have that 10% overage in cost and still make $30,000 is typically my bottom line of what it'd be worth. I mean, an average flip, takes you 3-4 months. Okay. Especially if you're paying interest on hard money, you've got to be able to make that money back on the long end. So that's kind of what I look for as far as a flip goes. I don't really care if it's got structural issues, or I'm not really scared of it.
So if that property is $100,000 and it's got $40,000 in there with an extra 10%, meaning 145 roughly.
Yeah.
And you want to so that means you need to sell for 175 or something along those lines.
Yeah, essentially 175, 180, somewhere around there to get me past that, a real estate fee or the interest charges, whatever they may be.
Usually, but more or less listing that yourself, or you're not licensed real estate as well?
So I am not.
Okay, I was going to say, at this point, I wouldn't put it past you.
Well, I kind of am. My license has been in escrow since 2017.
I knew it.
But I've never gotten it out of escrow as soon as I received it.
Okay. So. I was going to say, I feel like this. I feel like she's licensed or has.
I don't practice.
It's usually just more like sell it by owner type of thing, and then pay the buyers.
Yeah, my partner in Ratliff and Geiger, Laura, she is a licensed Keller Williams agent, so she will sell those for us. Okay. And honestly, I don't typically do like a for sale by owner. I usually just hand it to her or somebody else to sell. So
as an entrepreneur, learning to delegate things to other people is sometimes hard for me, but I'm definitely learning that aspect because I definitely can't do it all. Yeah. I'm sure you can attest to that. And as far as then looking at a property, analyzing it. I mean, we're talking basically looking at what are you going in and looking for a lot of times in analyzing property as far as what it needs. Like what major things are you trying to avoid? What things are you actually looking for, that kind of thing? Yeah,
so typically I'll just kind of start by looking at like the water heater, seeing, the furnace, just checking out, trying to get a feel for how old it is. Most of the time these wholesale deals don't really have permit stickers on them.
Roof is always nice, right? If it's not.
Yeah, a roof is super great for me. It's really cost effective for me to take care of the roof part. I also look for things like floor, like if the floor is sagging. Typically, try to get into a crawl space. Some of these older homes are 12-inch crawl spaces, and I'm just not willing to crawl in that. But I start out by just making a list from the outside. I'll say this needs new windows or the gutter's damaged, and just kind of try to put a cost associated with it as I'm walking that property. Yeah, and then kind of circle back around. They always say the first one's the hardest one, right? Yes. I think we're kind of learning. I can attest to that for sure. But I mean, this is not your first rental, but you've already done house flipping or looking at rentals and stuff like that. But I know we obviously went through it, looked at stuff like, the major things, water heater, HVAC, how the roof was and some of those things. But it's not until we really got into it where it's I know so much more now, just with even smaller things that would help go towards a budget. We'll still be pretty much in budget, but that I didn't know to look for kind of a thing, or you don't even think about or realize are even there. I will say I add about $2,000 as a punch list item for every house I walk, because I know it's going to come down to all those little tedious things that you put off till the very last minute. Yeah, those are the ones that get you at the end. That take the longest. It's like you get 80 or 90% there, and then the last 10% seems to take forever. Yeah, I definitely go back through and add that punch list to it. I think the biggest thing I learned on the first one, which I always try to do unique, homes that people want to buy and, add some cool features to it. Yeah. But I don't need to be married to the house. And that's true. That could change the rental budget too, depending on if you're trying to hold or flip in the sense of what you put in there as far as the features, light, what the light fixture looks like, what the... Yeah, I mean, countertop is or something like that. I've learned that for the flip side, I always try to add a really nice, I spent, over budget on pendant lights, but it was because that's the first thing you're going to see when you walk in. Yeah. And weird enough, people loved them and they commented on them, and I don't know if that sold the house or what, but I always try to maybe add something in there that you wouldn't necessarily go and buy a standard at Lowe's or something, add something that pops that maybe is a little bit more expensive but draws people's attention. My business partner keep coming back to what's the best bang for the buck? Meaning is it better to spend a little money extra here for what maybe you're talking about, the eye visual aspect or something like that, versus something here that you're no, at the end of the day, that's really not going to make a difference or really get noticed,
or whatnot. And so we try to live by that rule on some of these things that we've been. Do we need to replace that? No, or do we? If we replace it, do we need to go? How nice do we need to go, and so forth?
Yeah. And the rental side is totally different. For me, I mean, the new rental that I bought, I went ahead and just gutted the whole place, the plumbing. I did all new electric, and it really didn't have to have it. But I'm just kind of thinking, like, long term, like, do I really want this to leak?
Well, that's another good point. Like, if you're wanting to hold it for long term, then there's probably things maybe you're doing on a rental property that you might not necessarily think is not necessary on a flip.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
That's interesting, yeah. Now, as far as, obviously I assume I know the answer, but for those that don't know, or maybe there's something I've missed, how are you kind of looking at comps-wise as far as when you're running your numbers? Obviously, you have to run it against comps. I mean, you're just looking at Zillow, recently sold in the area, trying to more or less do something like that?
Yeah, a lot of the wholesalers that I work with as well, they'll send me like a comp list. I'll also get it from my business partner, who is also a realtor. But like for me, I just kind of Google the area and just see what street it's on, where it's located, and just kind of get a feel for like that price per square foot and what the average home around there is. It 3-bedroom, 1 bath? What am I looking at?
It's definitely changed, I think, since COVID. Obviously, I think COVID's made it a little bit harder in some respects. Did you start before COVID or after COVID as far as the flipping side?
Oh gosh, the flipping.
It seems like so long ago, right? You're like, was that before COVID or after COVID? Like, have I seen you since COVID? That kind of thing.
Okay. So I started flipping right after COVID started.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
That was not a bad time to get in, too, either.
No,
it
was actually great.
Yeah.
And honestly, I started my construction business about 6 months before COVID hit, and as soon as it did, it just boomed. It was.
That's awesome. Like, sometimes
timing.
it's perfect timing. You just, you jump in, and I had a realtor friend. She like jumped in, and then COVID hit, and it was like, and then it was like, of course, then it just hit
this is great.
So it was great.
Right.
As far as the, I know that you're flipping opportunities like that. You also offer flipping house consultations. Is that right? When we were talking earlier.
Yeah. So I have a lot of investor friends and wholesale friends and all that. But I offer to walk the house with them. I do a detailed estimate. It's an Excel spreadsheet. I typically pick out all the material that I've priced for that property. Whether different vendors that I would get it from, just so if they were to go and do this property, they can just add to cart, purchase, whatever.
Okay.
I charge $250 for those consultations. It's a site visit. Like I said, detailed estimate and detailed Excel spreadsheet that they can have. That way, whether they choose me to do their project or not, they kind of have all the tools that they need to move forward.
A great way to get in front of people and probably get more business than without doing it.
Yeah, it's basically instead of having an investor having to call a plumber and an electrician and, a tile guy, paint guy. They just kind of just call me and we'll put a price to it.
Very good. You had a recent purchase, obviously, the first rental property, the townhouse that you're talking about. Was there anything special about financing that deal, or is it typically like the others where we just hard money loaned and are planning on financing it after?
So this one I'm still nervous about it, but, so
it's always nerve-wracking until it's, done or rented out or financed.
I just got to reappraise.
Yes. I talked about that, expanded on that a little more as far as the appraisal.
So I borrowed hard money on the purchase price. So it was purchased for $80,000 hard money.
Yep.
And then the reno cost I borrowed $30,000 on.
Okay.
So all in, I'm going to be right at the 110, plus a little bit of interest.
Right.
So I'm planning on it refinancing for $130 and then using the extra money as my 20% down payment to roll into my mortgage loan.
Yeah.
So, and then paying everybody.
So that's the dream right there as far as on that. If you can purchase it, hard money lending, roll in your budget for renovation as well as maybe some interest, and then have 20% down to put on the, are you probably going commercial on that potentially?
Yes.
Financing?
Yes, I think that's what I don't even know.
I know.
Ask me that. Now I got to think about it.
But, that's the dream right there, like doing that. And so I think, we've got 3 3 properties I'll talk about at some point, but the one is we're updating, and that's hopefully the goal, and I think we're going to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the dream right there as far as the numbers. If not, then you're obviously, with that goal, then you're basically in it for pretty much no money down.
Yeah.
And then you just acquire a property, and then that's what they call the whole rinse repeat side of things in scenario, right?
Yes, I love that book, by the way. I have that.
Which one?
Buy, renovate.
Yeah. Buy, renovate.
Or refinance and rent. There you go.
There's
Buy,
another R,
renovate,
I think.
Refinance, rent. Is there?
But I can't remember. I thought there was another R. I think I always forget about
Anyways,
repeat.
the book is great.
Repeat is the last
Okay,
one.
yeah,
There we go. That's it.
Yeah, the book's wonderful.
Yeah. And so it's obviously becoming a little harder, obviously, in some respects. It seems like I've seen a lot more of the properties popping up, though, that you could do this with. So that, if somebody wants to get into this, what would you suggest? Like talking to some, it's a lot of it's building relationships, right? Kind of connecting with the right people.
All of my businesses is just networking. I mean, even though somebody you may run into, who knows when and where it's going to come up, but at some point, some of that circles back around. I mean, Lexington is kind of a small town within itself, and once you know a few group of people, you kind of know everybody. So
the biggest small town, in my opinion.
Yeah,
if you don't know them, someone does.
Yeah, exactly. So always just networking, and I'm a part of referral group that I go to, and I just try to be active in the community, and you just never know who you're going to meet, and that's really it's all about who you know, and I learned that a long time ago.
Speaking to the referral group, we've never talked about it on the podcast, but there's kind of 2 main ones. Obviously, you've got the national one, BNI, Business Networking, something. Yeah. Is that the one you're in, or you're in the local one?
Yes.
Okay, then there's also here in the central area, in the Kentucky area, one called the Referrals Group.
So I'm in both.
You're in both.
So the BNI one I'm in for my remodeling business, and the other one I'm in for my roofing business.
Sneaky.
So I represent the seats for each. I
probably would have played it that way too if I was you. Yeah,
out here hustling,
that's great.
Yeah.
So I am in the referrals group as far as mine goes and stuff like that. But it is a great way and cost-effective way to really network, especially starting out with some businesses and so forth, and getting to know people. I came from a previous career that really wasn't in this world of realtors, financial advisors, a lot of advisors or contractor type people in some respects. And so it was a fantastic way that kind of rocket boosted just the network of getting to know people and so forth. Yeah.
It's crazy because I was not a big Facebook person until I started my business.
Right.
And now I feel like I can't get off of the dang phone. It's like every 5 seconds I got to check my Facebook feed. But I will say, it's crazy how many people reach out to me, just message and just like, hey, I just want to know you. Or, and then that just builds relationships. But it's so cool how it just starts to have this big funnel.
And then who knows? And honestly, I'm the same way. I'm like, I wouldn't be on Facebook if it wasn't for business anymore. Right. I'm like, I just wish there was somebody that would create more just groups. Like, here's an app just for groups. Take the groups part of Facebook, and that's all I would really need it for. But unfortunately, your business kind of has to have a Facebook profile now too, unfortunately. But it's kind of a love-hate relationship for sure. What's one of the craziest things that you've kind of seen so far in the construction, house flipping? Obviously rental's new, so there's probably not a whole lot of stories with that yet. But anything kind of crazy come to your mind as far as story, experience, something happening?
I haven't really had like a
or you just love the fact of here's what it used to look like and here's what it is now.
Yeah, I haven't really had that like, oh gosh, this house was haunted type situation happen yet. But yeah, just walking into a property and seeing the way that it is, and then, leaving it. I talk about not being married to your properties, but like a part of me just always is, I love all the properties that I do, and I'm always very happy with them. So.
And as far as insurance side, of course, you're welcome to reach out to your advisor or ours here at Nova Insurance. They can be kind of tricky on the house flipping side or investing side with builder's risk or hard money financing and some of those things. So definitely give us a call for that. Switching gears here, though, as far as kind of some of the stuff around here, when you're not doing real estate stuff, roofing stuff, contracting stuff, or any of the above, what are some of your favorite hobbies or ththings to do here in Kentucky?
So my birthday is actually on Easter this year, but we always, Keeneland is kind of a big, I love Keeneland. Yes. I kind of grew up at Churchill Downs, so.
Well, actually, I want to ask you about that, because I grew up in Lexington. Okay. And I was just talking to some people out at a conference I was at in Phoenix this past weekend, where a lot of people have obviously heard of Churchill Downs for obvious reasons, but being a Lexingtonian, I'm curious on your thoughts. I've always found that I really enjoy Keeneland way more.
See, everyone from Lexington loves Keeneland.
Is it just us Lexingtonians? Yeah. I don't. Maybe it's just because the area it's at, as opposed to in the middle of kind of.
You want to go to Churchill Downs only. You don't want to go anywhere else once you leave that building.
Well, right, exactly. It's like you just go to Churchill Downs, then leave. Don't look to your left or right, and then
Yeah. So
What's your take on the differences between the two?
I mean, they're both so different, but I've kind of experienced the Derby a little differently. I used to bartend out like Jockey Club Suites, so I used to watch the Derby from like the rooftop, with, sniper team. I mean, it's just really cool. Which, I mean, come on, I was working from 5 a.m. to 10, right?
You're still hustling.
But, I mean, I also have experienced it, kind of the whole infield situation and all that. But they're just both really different. Keeneland is definitely a lot more tame. But Churchill's just a beautiful place, I think, as far as, like, the old part of Churchill Downs. Okay. It's just really, I like the look of Churchill better, but I like the environment at Keeneland.
Okay. There you go. I was curious. I hadn't really talked to anybody. I'm glad you brought that up.
Funny you say that. Yeah.
What's one of the favorite trips that you've taken or still want to take?
I'm dying to go to like Cancun, somewhere in Mexico.
I highly recommend Riviera Maya area or something like that with the all-inclusive. Yeah. I think Cancun's more or less like just hotels where it's not necessarily all-inclusive.
Okay. St. Lucia was one I think I was looking at. Oh, yeah. I need the beach right now with all this rain.
What's one of your favorite date night restaurants here?
Carson's is by far my favorite place ever.
Right? They need another one because I feel like I can't get in there anymore.
We need to just talk to Mark about it.
Well, we can talk off air. I know they were looking at trying to do a second one at one point at a certain location, but I think Kobe kind of changed some things, and they wanted to redo a different contract. So lots of time.
Well, they are packed all the time. All the place is awesome.
We need a second one. Absolutely. What was the first car you owned?
I had a red. Excuse me. It was a red Toyota Yaris, the 4-door sedan. It was very cool.
Yes. That's about the lines of my first car. That's for sure.
I bought it myself, so that works.
Exactly. What was one of your favorite purchases of this past year?
One of my favorite purchases?
Anything big?
Let's see. I did get a new work truck.
Okay.
That was fun. It's a GMC Sierra.
There we go.
And I love it. It's amazing.
Because I'm sure, like, when you're living out of the car, right? Yeah. Just traveling from place to place.
Got my ladder back there, my toolbox. I'm ready to go.
Office, pretty much.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. Last question. If anybody wants to kind of get in touch with you to kind of reach out, ask questions, advice, or have you help them out with some projects, how can they do that?
Yeah, so obviously you can find me on Facebook. My business pages are all on Facebook as well. So Bluegrass Builders, Lawrence Properties, Ratliff and Geiger. My cell phone number is the best way to reach me. It's 502-338-5235. And then you can always email me at bluegrassbuildersandremodel@gmail.com. That account is monitored all day long by my office manager. So
perfect.
It's probably the best way to get in contact quickest.
Nice. Lauren, I appreciate you so much for coming on the show today. Everybody be sure to check back with a new episode next week of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. We'll have an exciting another podcast episode for you to learn some more stuff about real estate investing in Central Kentucky. Lauren, thanks.
Thanks for having me.
To learn more about this podcast, visit our page at keystothecommonwealth.com. To connect with Landry regarding insuring your investment portfolio, email Landry at novainsuranceGroup.com or call 859-687-2004.